Hey guys, what's up? This is Casey. This is Coach Tom. This is Shot Science Overtime number 86. What we like to do is we like to start off our shows talking about a topic that we think will help you guys in developing your game and making you better players. And while we're doing that, you guys need to send us your questions, anything basketball related. And after we're finished with our topic, we'll get back to you guys and we'll start our Q&A and we'll get into all the questions that you guys asked us. So if you have a question about shooting, dribbling, passing, rebounding, defense, talking to your coach, whatever it is, let us know, and we will try to get to you as fast as we can about how we can help you with those topics. So send those in to us. You can reach us at Twitter. On Twitter, we are at Shot Science. You can reach us on Facebook, Google+, and on YouTube, we are also Shot Science. So hit us on all those places, and we'll do our best to get to you. And we're going to jump into our topic right now, which is how to pass in the post and catch in the post. So we'll start with how to pass into the post first. So do you want to jump on that one?
Yeah, some things to consider about passing in the post probably are these: is you have to find the defender and determine where they are and what you need to do as far as throwing the ball in. And there are several positions that usually are played defensively on the post, and that one of them is on the high side, which would be, if they were at the left block, it would be on the right shoulder, and vice versa on the opposite side. The position that is directly behind them, and another position that some people will assume occasionally is on the low side of them. In other words, if they were at the block, they would be on the baseline side of them. But that you don't see very often, because that allows the defense or the offensive post to turn right into the paint, and they've got a whole bunch of choices that they can use there as far as scoring. So first of all, you have to kind of determine where is the defender. The second thing that's really important is, and this is partly on the post player themselves, they have to locate a position where they can get a seal on the defender. And let's say that they have a defender that is on the high side of them, then they should have that arm into their chest, and the other hand then is going to be used as a target for the player who is playing the wing. And sometimes the post players will put the hand up, and on opposite the side of that defensive player, sometimes it will be low, depending on what they think they want to do with the basketball. So those are real important situations there.
Yeah, so it's identifying your target, kind of finding out what the situation is with that guy.
Yeah, and then you kind of come into a situation, how do I get the ball to them? You can make a direct feed to the person.
Here's the thing, is that you have to be willing to move, and it's not going to necessarily be the easiest thing just to drop it into that guy.
No, it's not. We'll talk about getting it into him just a second. Let's talk about the guy that's at the post. I mean, they have to be pretty effective themselves in creating a situation where they can keep the defender at bay, either with an arm bar on one side or an arm bar on the other side to kind of seal them.
Well, let's just talk about the passer first.
All right. The person that's passing that ball in, we like to see them make a fake pass before they try to feed it. And let's say that they want to take and bring the ball up like they're going to feed it over the top, and immediately they'll step out, and we call this a scoop, where you reach out with a long step to the baseline side and just give them a little bounce pass that drops it right into them. So that's one thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, there's two ways to really do that. There's the fake high, pass low, and the fake low, pass high.
Yep.
And the fact of the matter is that if you fake a pass high, the guy that's defending you is going to put his hands up to try to get his hands in the way of that pass.
Right.
And what you can do is fake that, and he'll as he's putting his hands up, he has to recover, and he won't have enough time if you just drop the pass right underneath his arms.
Right.
So you have to be quick about it, but that's one way to kind of create enough time for you to get it past that guy while he's trying to block that initial fake.
Right.
And like I said, you can fake high, pass low, or fake low and pass high. Right. And when you do the pass over the top of the head, when you actually pass high, you want to make sure you're just like skimming it right over that guy's head, because if you're able to do that, that's where it takes the most time for him to get his hands to, and it's almost impossible if you zip it right over the top of his head. Obviously,
Right.
You don't want to hit him, but you want it to just really just go right over the top of his head into the post.
Yeah.
And the other things that you can do is like you were saying, you can do a little scoop pass where you're actually creating some space by stepping out and reaching out and dropping it in, kind of with a little hook pass in there. And you can also, which is really important to know, is dribble to relocate.
Yep.
And if you do that, what's great about that is that it can help create a better situation for the guy that's down in the post, because let's assume that he's being played topside by some guy that's just denying over the top of him. If that's happening and you're not seeing a good target and it doesn't look like you're going to be able to just drop the pass in, if you take one dribble down the perimeter toward the baseline, you might find where you'll be able to drop a pass in there much more easily, and he's got the guy sealed even better behind him, and so you just created a better opportunity for that guy. And the same situation is true there, where you can fake high and pass low because your defender is still probably going to be on top of you as well. But just keep in mind that you can do those little things that will help create a little bit of space for you to be able to drop the ball in, but also can help create a better situation for the guy that's guarding you. So you can do your fake passes, which are essential. I mean, if you're looking to pass in the post, that's essentially you'll have to do that every single time. Fake high, pass low, fake low, pass high. You can do little scooping reach pass, which is one that you like to teach.
Well, and we can also cross step and drop the ball in backhanded. I mean, that's now on that cross step. If we're on the right side, we make that pass, and then we actually take our top foot and cross the other one, kind of turn our shoulder in, and we can drop that ball in close. One of the things that Casey was talking about there that is really important, and that is using that little dribble toward the baseline to improve your passing angle, because if you can do that, that really, really makes a big difference for the guy in the post catching it.
Yeah, because it helps you have a better angle into the pass, but it helps him because that guy gets sealed. And if that guy gets sealed behind your guy, your post player, if he seals the defense behind him, then that guy is pretty much nullified.
Yeah.
I mean, if your guy gets the ball, he's going to go to the hoop. That guy's on his back. That guy's going to foul your guy when he goes up for the shot.
Right. So being able to put that ball into the post is not something that is really easy to do. You have to spend time working on it, and it takes some skill. One of the things that's really important, too, when you're putting the ball into the post is that he gives you a nice hand signal where he wants the ball, and then try to hit it. But one of the things that's really key is to use your pass fakes always. In fact, we have a video that we just encourage all the time for students to watch, and it's called Fake a Pass to Make a Pass. And that in itself, we actually get our own player out of the way so that we can actually make a better entry pass to a post or maybe to somebody flashing into the middle from the opposite side.
Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, and the thing about it is that you cannot just expect to catch the ball on the perimeter and be able to just plop it into the guy that's in the post. It doesn't work like that. You have to actually do some work to get it in there, and doing things like deceptive fakes and passes are really going to help you make that happen. And if you are able to get the ball into the post, you have made yourself a much more valuable player, because that's a skill that not a lot of guys have. And a coach that can find a guy that can get it in the post, he's going to play that guy a lot, because that actually brings in that post player into the game when a lot of times people have trouble doing that. And then the other thing, too, is that if you're able to get the ball into the post, that helps you, because then you can do something like relocate. After you drop the ball in, you don't want to just stand there. If you relocate to another position, 2 steps away, then you can find yourself getting the ball back from the guy in the post, because a lot of times your defender is going to turn and look at that guy, and he won't be keeping track of you necessarily. And if you relocate, your post guy is going to see you, and he'll drop it back to you, and you'll get an open shot.
Right.
That happens all the time.
Right. And one of the things to do on that relocation, too, is see which way your man turns. And if he turns to the right, then you go to the opposite direction, so that when he turns, you're not there anymore. And vice versa, if he turns low, then you want to take and relocate a little higher.
And that's one of those whole moving without the ball kind of tricks that you need to teach your brain to do.
Yeah.
The worst thing you can do as a basketball player is just stand there.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's like, here, defense. Let me make it as easy as possible for you. I'm going to roll out the sleeping bag and just kick it back here.
Well, the thing is that it's like the other guy is playing defense on a post that's stuck in the ground. It didn't go anyplace. But as soon as you become a little more active, then you put more pressure on your own defender in that situation. Well, let's take and switch it over to the other side of this, and that is how to catch the ball in the post and what that post player needs to do.
I think there is one super important thing.
Go ahead.
And I was going to throw it to you, but I was going to say that it is releasing on the pass.
Well, that's one of the first things I was going to talk about. Is just when you're in the post, and you usually will have a post defender who is in contact with you. Very seldom, unless they're playing a zone and kind of a real soft zone, do they take and stay a step back from you. And so one of the first things you want to do when you're in the post and you locate yourself, location is real important too. One of the things that we teach everybody that we coach on post play is that we always post up above the block and or at the first peg on the lane line. And what that does is it gets us a little higher up the floor, so that if we use a drop step, that we're not going to be behind the backboard.
Mm-hmm.
So what we want to do, if we're going to catch the ball, first of all, we have to know where that defender is, and it's really easy. If they are on the high side of us, we want to take and get an arm into them so that we can control where they are, and then we can give hand targets with the other hand. Now, once somebody takes and delivers the basketball to us, then we encourage everybody to learn how to create what is called a release step. And the release step is a little hop in the direction of the basketball with both feet. And what we want to do, this is a jump stop, and we have a video on this where you can see, what's the name of that? Do you remember?
I think it's just how to play the post, I think, is the first video.
Yeah, but it shows you how to release, and what happens is you get immediate separation from that defender, and you can catch the ball and get ready to go to work. And the first thing that they're going to do is they're going to close that space. That's just the natural reaction to defenders, is close it and get right back up into you.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Defense always wants to have contact with you, because if they have contact with you in the post, they know where you are, and they can kind of keep track of what you're doing.
Right.
As a post offensive player, you want to create space, because that gives you kind of wiggle room to make it possible to do some kind of move on those guys.
Right.
So if you're able to create space, you've just kind of put the defense into a situation where they're not feeling super comfortable.
Well, yeah, and they're going to have to close that space, because that's just the nature of the game. Here's the other thing, is that let's say that I'm at the first peg on the left side, and I show a target out toward the baseline. I want the wing to throw the ball there. When he throws that basketball to that particular spot, that is where I'm going to release to. I don't release toward straight ahead and reach for the ball. I release right directly to the basketball.
Yeah,
and I land on both feet, so that I can go either direction if I decide to make a move.
Yeah, you take a step with one foot, but you just land on both feet at the same time.
Yeah,
because you want to make sure that you can use either as your pivot.
This is that. What do we do when we catch the ball? Oftentimes, the post player needs to be able to catch the ball with one hand while he's holding the other player off at bay. And so what we want to do is reach out and immediately get that basketball and get it into a position of power, which is up under our chin. And now it's time to go to work, and we can make a decision what we're going to do. One of the most important things, if you're looking at this defensively, it's really tough defensively to play a post player, because number one, you're kind of on an island all by yourself in the middle of that defense, and the help is really spread out around the court. But one of the things that's really important if you're defending is create some space for yourself from the person who has the basketball. One of the things that we teach our post players is this: if you can feel them, we're going to attack them off the dribble. And we're going to use a spin dribble. We're going to take and use a jump hook over the top, but we're going to attack them immediately if we can feel him. So the ball comes up under our chin. If I can feel him leaning on me, if I can feel his hands on my back, we're now going to spin and probably go to the basket to the other side.
Yeah, and here's another thing too, is that you don't need to be in a super spastic hurry.
Nope.
Either. You can catch the ball, take account, and kind of assess what's going on, and then go into whatever move or attack that you're going to use. A lot of times people catch the ball and they just immediately go for some kind of attack to the basket, and that might not be the best thing that you can do. Sometimes just waiting that count will give you a better opportunity to score.
Right. In fact, one of the things that's really good is the defender is probably going to play you in one of those several places we talked about. If he's over the top, you know where he is. If he is behind you, it's really hard to know exactly where he is. You can feel him, but don't be afraid to look. If you've got the ball, take a quick look over your shoulder and find out where he is. And then you can decide what it is that you're going to do. And there's all kinds of moves that you can use in the post to help you there. But we're kind of in a situation we're talking about really catching the ball and getting ready to go to work.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
now another thing you can do on this too is that if you catch the ball in the post and you're not sure where he is, just take a look down and you can see his feet. Just take a look and you can find him just by looking at his feet.
yeah. Okay, so I mean, there's a ton of stuff that we could talk about in terms of post play and post passing, but those are just some things that we think are like major key points that you really need to know, and will help make it easier for you to actually pass into the post and maybe catch in the post too. And working together with both guys is super important. The guy that's passing and the guy that's receiving the ball in the post, like you guys need to have yourselves together on this one and know how to do both of those tasks. And like I said, even though you drop the ball in the post, doesn't mean it's like the last thing for you to do and just stand around. You need to make sure you relocate and look, and that post player needs to look for you as well, because there might be a second opportunity after the pass into the post.
One of the problems that I see over the years in basketball and post play and wing play, or people at the perimeter, is especially in younger players, they don't see inside very well. And you stop and think about it, typically there's a lot of movement in the key area, and sometimes there's as many as 4 or 6 people that are in that paint area, and sometimes it's hard to pick out your own guy. And you might think, well, that's not so difficult, they're wearing a different colored jersey. But oftentimes that doesn't really make that much difference, is because it's kind of a blur. So as a post player, you need to stand out from the rest of them. And one of the things that I think is really important is that initially we want to be really big and get our hands up so they can find us. We look different than everybody else. And then if we think that we're going to be getting into a catch, then we'll immediately seal and give a target with the other hand, or if he's directly behind us, we'll reach up here. Here's the other thing that's really important, and I'm going to just kind of stop on this topic right here, is that oftentimes that we have our hands right against our chest here when we're looking to receive the ball. All right, the person behind you can find that that's really easy to just knock the ball away. So what you want to do is get the arms out and away from you so that you make contact with the basketball before they can make contact. When you pull it back in here, it's really easy for them just to reach around you and tap that away. So just reaching a little bit more, it really helps you in receiving the ball.
Yeah, and you got to look like you deserve the ball too.
Yeah.
If you just look like you're just standing there, I mean, you haven't earned the right to catch it.
Well, the other thing too is we're talking about these people who don't see very well, and you know, a lot of post players don't catch the basketball because the people they're playing with, their vision is really crappy, and so you have to encourage them to, hey, you know, keep your eyes open. I can pin this guy, and I think we can get something out of it. Demand the ball too. Demanding means that you're calling for the basketball, and you're calling for it here. You're calling it down low, verbally speaking out to them and let them know that you're open for the pass.
Yeah, and okay, we're going to stop right there on all that stuff because we just went on a 20-minute rant.
We did.
But here's the thing. All those things are great tips for you to become a better post player and post passer. If you want to see more stuff on that kind of thing, make sure you go check out our post playlist. And you know, we got a ton of stuff in there. We teach you how to attack the basket with a bunch of moves that we think are great for post play. We also teach you to use some things like flashing in the post and sealing in the post that will help you kind of do these little tips that will get you more opportunities in the post. So check that out. Post playlist. I think it's on our front page of our YouTube, and let us know what you think. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go into answering your guys' questions. And remember that if you guys have questions, just send them to us right now, and we'll get to as many of them as we can today. Best place to hit us up is on Twitter. We are at Shot Science. You can also hit us up on Facebook, Google+, and in the chat of this YouTube stream. And it would be awesome, too, if you could go out and tell your friends or anybody that's into basketball to check out these live shows, because it helps us get more great guests, and we want to bring more people to you guys and give you more insight. So go out and share. That would be awesome. All right, now tweet to us. Okay, here we're going to jump into it right now. This one is from Nathan Thompson, who is at Nate T_AF, who's here all the time. He says, I know positions don't matter, but are there any situations shooting guards will find themselves in a lot because of where they are positioned?
You know, that's very possible if your team is running like a motion offense where you are actually interchanging or extending positions. You could end up in positions that are different from just being out on the right wing or the left wing.
Well, I was going to say that they probably find themselves coming off screens a lot.
That's true, and and you kind of need to be good at that. And in fact, the offense itself, whatever the coach is structured, probably is going to determine where you're going to be taking most of your shots, and it may not always just be a catch and shoot at the wing. And shooting guards don't necessarily always have to shoot from that location either. You might be down in the corner for a shot too, or like Casey says, coming off a screen.
Yeah, I mean, I think mostly as a shooting guard, you just want to be really comfortable with playing on the perimeter, and that will include things like coming off a screen, just catch and shoot,
or maybe a little fake coming off of a screen, faking coming off of it and fading.
Check out our moving without the ball playlist.
Yeah,
I mean, that shows you how to kind of create leads and get open. I mean, like we always say, kind of positions are a little bit. They aren't the best way to approach your play. I mean, you can be kind of more of a power forward body slash player type and still get away with playing as a shooting guard, depending on what your team dynamics are. It really depends on kind of where the coach wants you to play, and if you want to be more valuable, just be able to play every position. I mean, that's really the key.
Yeah, I think the terminology shooting guard has kind of overworked a whole bunch. And the reason for that is that most of the teams these days have more than one guy can shoot the basketball. And maybe that guy is a really good shooter, and the team that I've been coaching on the last 10 or 15 years, we have plays set just for those guys who can shoot it, and not necessarily shooting guards, but they are people who can shoot the basketball well, and we look to get them openings for that shot. So I think that the two-guard definition is probably a little overworked.
Yeah, I mean, think about a situation like Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Those guys are both essentially shooting guards,
Yeah.
and they're on the floor at the same time.
Yeah.
So, and Steph Curry's bringing the ball up the floor.
Yeah.
So, I mean, are you saying that Steph Curry is a point guard? I mean, I think it's all kind of it's a little overworked, the whole position play stuff. So just make sure that you're making yourself as valuable a player as you can be just by making yourself able to do everything.
Yep.
Even if you're 5'5", you should be able to step into the post
Oh, yeah.
and play some solid post game.
Well, and you become very valuable when you have a post game and you're one of those little guys. Oftentimes that in a game situation, if you're really effective around the basket with the basketball, and you have a guy who is about your size there, and you can take him in and execute some nice moves to the basket, that's really cool.
All right, here's another one from Nate who says, there's a scrimmage every week, and a lot of the varsity players play in it. The coach wants me to play, but I'm afraid of making mistakes.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so is that it?
Yep.
Okay. I had this discussion yesterday with a young man, and I'm going to share it with you. One of the things that he was concerned about with playing with the older guys is that he was going to make mistakes. And that's just exactly what you're saying. And the reason he's afraid he's going to make mistakes is this. He's afraid he's going to look bad in front of those older guys and that they're going to give him a bunch of crap. Hey, who cares? The thing that's really important is that you have confidence in yourself and that you go out and you try to get done what you can get done. Most guys will have a lot of respect for you. There might be a hamburger here and there who maybe will give you a little grief, but the thing is, step in and play with the older guys. You'll get more out of it than you can ever think about playing against younger guys where you might have the world of confidence. So don't be afraid to step in and against whomever. There's two freshman boys that are students of mine, and they're pretty good. They're not great, but they're pretty good. And they went away to a local playground to play last weekend, and they came and told me this story on Monday. And the story went like this. Hey, Coach, we went to so-and-so to play, and we ended up playing against two varsity guys from this other school, and we played a game to 11 against them and said they had us down 8-2. And he said, we decided that we were going to take and be a little more active and shoot the basketball. And he said, we ended up beating them 11-8. And I said, well, how'd you do it? He says, we weren't afraid and we shot the basketball. He said, we hit a bunch of threes and that really made the difference. Okay, so the thing is, here's some freshman guys, young like you, stepped into a situation against older guys who were 3 or 4 years older and were not intimidated, and they went ahead and they did a really good job against them. It wouldn't have made any difference if they'd been beaten by the other group, for that matter. The fact is they went and played, and they had no fear, and that's how you have to do this. You have to play with no fear.
Here's the thing: if there's no risk, there's no reward.
Well, and the other thing that happens when you're worried about your confidence, really, that's not what it's all about. You're worried about your ego, is what you're worried about.
Yeah, and here's
okay?
here's
and people are going to beat you, who might be not very strong. Once in a while, they're going to beat you. So what? The thing is it's very important for you to let go of all of that lack of confidence crap and just play.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I think there's two things that I want to say. Number one is definitely you have to have a very thick skin and just not worry about it, because none of that stuff really matters. You might think about it and might stew about it for 2 weeks, where that guy, he forgot about it 5 minutes later. So why let that be the scenario? I mean, if somebody says something to you or makes you fumble the ball, who cares? I mean, that's going to happen to everybody. Michael Jordan has tripped and fallen on his face probably more times than you ever will. So why do you think you have to be perfect, and somebody like Michael Jordan, who put it all out there, doesn't have to be, and he's like the greatest of all time? So you got to remember that everybody makes mistakes, and everybody's going to have situations where they kind of feel a little foolish, but I mean, it doesn't really matter. Next time down the floor is a new opportunity. The second part is this: you need to look at it big picture, not small picture. Okay, so if you're staying and you're playing safe and you're just playing a bunch of chumps every time you go out and play, you will never get better.
Yeah.
You will just get good at beating those chumps. If you go out and you play against guys that are better than you, bigger than you, faster than you, stronger than you will get better so much faster. And the thing about it is that you can be the big fish in the small pond for as long as you want, and you will never get to the next level.
Well, you never get to the big pond. That's the whole tip.
And the more you go out there and you play against those tougher guys, the more you'll figure out ways to be able to combat them.
Yep.
And it will really help develop your game. If you're too scared about everything, you'll never push yourself to the next level.
That's true.
All right. Here's another one. This one is from Elias at Mr. Drudy, who's here all the time too. He says, how many signature plays do you have teams learn? Can a team play on a high level NBA without running traditional plays?
Well, I think coaches are different, have different ideas about that. Some people will run a motion offense, which is a continuous movement of players that has options that occur in a lot of different places in that motion. And then other players will have, or other coaches will have terminal plays. Terminal plays are those where you start at a particular set and you move through this whole thing until you get to that shot that you're really looking for. For me, I think a motion offense can be really pretty cool because they're easier to learn, and then teach people options on how you can take and step out of that motion offense and get some advantages there. One of the things that I have felt for a long, long time is that a lot of things that we do as coaches in teaching people plays is we actually teach them to run on rails. In other words, I'm going to take and pass the ball right. I'm going to go left and screen for that guy, and then I'm going to roll to the basket. And everybody's got these little choreographed rolls for these plays, and what we're looking for is some open shots. But one of the things that we need to remember that those are just a format for us to kind of work into. And for me, I think it really makes you a better player if this is the big word, if you see an opportunity that you can jump off the rails and execute something that is going to get a score. Because after you've gone through a motion offense or any offense 2 or 3 or 4 times, the defense has got it figured out. They'll know where you're going as soon as you are. And so that's kind of my thoughts on some of that.
Yeah, I mean, talking about like NBA level play or college level play is hard to do because, like you said, there's going to be different philosophies with different coaches. there's going to be some coaches that kind of have the football approach, and they have a billion plays,
Yeah.
Each with a prime directive for getting a certain player a shot or a certain spot on the court an opportunity. That is one way. And then also the other way is just kind of like the motion offense that you were talking about, and there's like little adjustments that can be made to kind of open up certain players for that too. But when you're talking about younger players and high school and middle school and stuff, the best thing that you can have going for your players is just them knowing how to play, and they should be able to step out there on the court and make things happen without set plays being called. If you're a player, you want to kind of be able to pull that off yourself. If you are just one of those guys that's stuck on the rails, then you're not a very valuable player, and that's going to be hard for a coach to kind of rely on you to make things happen. If you're, I don't really know what are you just interested, Elias, or just trying to figure out like kind of what the number of plays are? I mean, it's impossible for us to really tell you because there's a full spectrum of what you might find.
Yeah, that's really the truth, and it depends on the coach themselves. And here's the other thing. I think that when we're dealing with younger players, then that number of plays should be a lot less than they are maybe when you're dealing with an older group. Let's say you've got a team that's mostly juniors and seniors, then you are able to maybe put a little bit more in to give you more flexibility. But one of the things that I think is that a good motion offense for young people, and give them the options and the opportunities to jump off those rails whenever possible, I think that's really beneficial for you.
Yeah, I mean, I had a couple situations where I was playing on teams where there was several players that struggled with the number of plays that we had, and mostly defensive sets and stuff, where we had a coach that was kind of from a football background, and he thought that there needed to be a different look for every single offensive look, and so there was a couple of guys that really struggled, and it caused chaos essentially for our defense. And you have to kind of worry about the execution of other players. Like, they need to be able to perform those sets and know what's going on. And as a coach, you have to kind of be able to read that. Are these guys even capable of all these offensive looks or defensive looks? Or should we do something more simplified that kind of allows people to play and have a looser grasp on actual set plays?
Well, another thought on this too is because all players are different in how they learn, and one of the things that I realized, thankfully, a lot of years ago, is that some guys, some probably girls too, I'm sure, do not have the ability to retain how to run plays. And it's not because they're not smart or anything like that. It's just that their mind works different maybe than everybody else. And every team has at least one or two of those guys who struggle with that, and they can't remember from this practice to the next practice what they're supposed to do. And so that kind of limits what the team can do as well when that happens.
Okay.
Anyway.
Let's shoot for some shorter answers here.
Okay,
we are both just going on long rants. We're never going to get through all these. Okay, this one is from Antonio Crisculo in the chat, who says, "Hey coach, I just want to know how to beat a taller post on the attack. They normally play a 2 up top, 3 down low zone, and if I can't beat my man, how can I break their zone?"
Well, okay, this could turn into a long answer, so I'm going to try and clip it just a little bit. Actually, you've got several parts of this question. How do you beat the taller player, taller post? Well, one of the things that we really like is the fact that you beat the taller post by flashing into the offensive middle where the soft spot is, and catch and immediately look to shoot the basketball. I think that really is important. And what you do is you put pressure on that defensive post then to have to step up. You're talking here about a 2-3 zone, it sounds like. And so that's one of the things that I think is critical for every team, is to be able to flash and throw the ball into the post.
Flash the middle, flash the gaps.
Yeah, and you flash it from the post player coming from the opposite low post, or from the wing on the opposite side, flashing hard into the middle, and get the ball into them. And it's amazing how easy it is to catch and shoot right there, and most teams don't react to that very well.
And this isn't like little mosey flash. This is like real quick stabs into the middle, and
catch, and immediately your footwork has got you up and you're shooting the basketball. And pretty soon what you have happening is the post player starts to step up. He even sees you come up kind of early, and they'll start to step up. And sometimes you can even cut behind them because they overstep it, and you get a little basket down, shot down underneath the basket. But catching in the middle really helps a lot.
Okay, and then going up against taller post players, here's the thing. Use that against them, and we talk about this all the time. Number one, don't worry about it because there's always going to be taller people. But what you want to do is use their height against them. You're probably a little bit smaller, more agile, quicker. You can also use their defensive mentality against them because they think that they're taller, they're going to block you or stop you. You can go and use like a shot fake on those guys, get them up in the air, get your body into them, and put the shot up. And you've just baited them into fouling you in the act of shooting, and now you're on the free throw line either shooting 2 or shooting an and 1. So you really you need to, number one, stop worrying about their height being more than yours, and worry more about using the advantages that you have and creating disadvantages for them.
Okay, let me take just a moment here. You have a question. Part of your question is how can I break the zone down? Just a couple of ideas really quick. One of the things that you need to do to break down the zones is quick passing from one side of the floor to the other, and we call those reversals. If I catch the ball on the wing, maybe I pass the ball down the baseline, he passes back to me, I go to the point to the opposite side. When we make that defense continually flex and change positions, what's going to appear there are some seams or some holes between players where we can attack and get into the middle of that defense. And so by ball movement, we are able to actually move players around and make seams for us to attack and get into the middle. When we get into the middle, then you can make some interesting thing happens because somebody's got to step up and challenge you. And maybe it's going to be the post player, and then somebody down at the low post is able to get him the ball, easy finish. Now that's oversimplified. There's 5 or 6 things that I like to teach when we're working against the zone.
Okay, here's one from Lowell Rux Lolable who says, I like using a move Shaq used in his playing days. Run down the middle, post up, and then a quick hook or an up and under. Defense usually isn't ready for such an aggressive move.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I mean, that's one of those things. If you can be a big man that runs the floor, I mean, if you set up early, you can really make some things happen.
Yeah. And those are sweet moves.
Yeah. Okay. This one is from Joseph Sims who says, "Hey coaches, I have another question. How do I become better posting up against a big? I'm 13, 6'2", and I'm always taller than my opponents, but I'm also 145 pounds, so I'm very skinny compared to my opponents. I know the moves to do, and I have about 6 that are muscle memory, like up and under, drop step, and the hook, but my opponents always almost knock me over or block my shot when doing these. Is there any advice so that I can get better?"
Well,
if they're almost knocking you over, they're fouling you.
Yeah, they're fouling you, and so you just want to learn to kind of hold your space. Now,
leverage might be an issue, so maybe get lower, get your butt into them.
Yeah, get your butt right into their legs. The knees are really good to get your knees and your butt into their knees. But I'm looking here, and let's see, where's that one again, Casey?
Right here.
Okay, and you've got all these really cool moves, but they always block them. Then if those moves are not as effective as you think they are if they're always blocking them. Because if your execution of those moves is good and proper, you should be able to beat them at least on occasion. I mean, and now here's the thing, is that if I am going to be playing against a guy who's 6'8", and I'm 6'2" in the post, then I'm going to be looking to attack him off the dribble if I can, because he's not going to be as quick as I am. We had this happen with a guy who was 6'2" post for us about 3 years ago. He had to play against a 6'7" guy who was fairly active, and we did nothing but turn to the baseline or turn to the middle, and our guy put 28 on him. And so he wasn't a great player, but he was quick, and he attacked him immediately because the guy would come right up next to him. He'd just turn and go on him.
Well, here's the thing. You got these moves. Like you got the drop step, up and under, the hook shot, all these things. Like if you are doing something like the hook to middle, where you're doing that power dribble right up into the hook shot, and that's not getting you anything, you should be able to use something like the up and under to bait that guy up into the air and then do a step through on him.
Yep.
Maybe it's the execution of these moves.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
So you have to remember that a lot of these moves are moves and then a counter move off of that. So you do something like the hook to middle, you should be able to do the up and under and make it look like the hook to middle until you do the shot fake into the cross step.
Yeah.
So that's really the way you should look at it, is like that. If you do something like the drop step, you remember you can use like a little shot fake and put the shot up. You have to be able to take contact and create contact in the post. So maybe that's something to work on a little bit. Okay, next question. This one is from J Mark Guy, who says, what about shooting with small hands? It's tough sometimes to get a solid grip on the ball off the dribble or after receiving a pass. Makes it tough to get my shot off quickly. Hand size means nothing.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything that really you should be worrying about the size of your hand.
We see girls that are very small for even their age, that are 10, 11, 12, that are able to do just fine.
Yeah.
And they have very small hands.
Yeah, and mostly one of the things you want to do is just remember to spread the thumb out, and you're able to get a grip no matter whether your hand is a really small hand or a large hand. And so
I think a lot of people want to grip it and they just want to squeeze the crap out of it, but it's not like that.
No, it isn't. What you want to do is get a little bit of pressure, and it's not a lot, between your thumb and your small finger. And you see here, here's Casey's thumb and his small finger. That's gripping the basketball, but he's not squeezing the crap out of it.
No, I mean, I can just roll it right out of my hand.
Yeah, but he's got a hold of it, and that helps him control that basketball. And the size of your hand, I don't think is really that important. And the other thing that you said makes it tough to get your shot off quickly, it hasn't got anything to do with your getting the shot off quickly. Getting the shot off quickly usually is a result of how did I use my feet, what kind of motion did I have wasted unnecessary motion? That's usually a much more critical consideration than anything else. And so it's interesting. People always want to know, how can I get my shot off faster? How can I get it? Well, the thing is that you can only get it off as fast as you can get it off, and you need to work on efficiency of your shooting stroke and your mechanics getting into it. It's that simple. And if you think that, I just want to be the fastest guy around who gets your shot off, that means you're rushing the shot, and you don't want to rush the shot. You want to be very effective and efficient in how you deliver the ball to the basket.
Yeah, and here's the thing too, is that you're talking about picking the ball up off the dribble and catching it. A lot of that is like when you're coming off the dribble, you need to have that last one just be a pound into the ground and have it pop back into your hands. Maybe the problem is that you don't have the best control or feel for the ball yet. So maybe work on your ball handling and just work on using your finger pads to really kind of get that touch for the ball. Like maybe that will help you. But yeah, hand size really has nothing to do with it.
I don't think so either.
Strength might have more to do with shooting than anything.
Yeah.
But let's see here. Here's some new questions. This one is from MC Arts, who says, I haven't been able to play basketball for 2 months and it has affected my previous skills with shooting and handles. Any killer tips / drills to get me back in the game?
Hey, it all just comes down to practice. Practice, and then practice some more. It's just, I often use this little quip, and that is, it's just like learning to ride the bicycle. Once you learn how to ride it, you can ride it forever. It may take you a little bit of time getting used to it again, and that's all shooting is about. Usually when you stay away from it for a few weeks or a couple of months, it takes you a week or so to kind of get yourself back into the swing or into the motion of shooting, but it's there. It will come back pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, you got to do things like the form shooting drill to help get you back, and then do work up to some game speed, game intensity stuff.
Yep.
And there's no real trick to it. And it's even if you've been away for 2 months, the same tips apply to a guy that's been away for 2 days. I mean, you have to do the same kind of touch-up stuff and then maintenance work on it.
Well, oftentimes my students will come back and they haven't done anything for the whole week. Maybe school's starting and they've just been so busy they can't do it. And usually they're not shooting very well. In 10 or 15 minutes, it starts to come back around again for them. So don't sweat it that much.
All right, here's one from Vijay Singh, who says, "Sir, I wanted to ask that our team does not perform well in some matches, but our individual skills are pretty good, and then the other team. So what can we do to perform well? We do all the drills related to offense and defense. Our team chemistry is also good. Still don't know why we don't perform. I strongly feel in the practice matches we take it lightly and kind of mix up the players. So in the real game, I think that there is some lack of coordination It's like one cannot understand what the other person is thinking, especially the feeder. Please help, sir. Okay, I think I know exactly what's going on here, and I think the problem is that you are not playing and practicing game speed, game intensity in your practice. If you guys are just fooling around and just kind of going casually through the motions of all this stuff in your practice, and then you step out on to the game floor and things aren't there, well, there's your problem. You haven't prepared yourself. You haven't been out there before, and so when you get out on the floor, everything is new. So what I would say is get out there, step up your practices, make them more game speed, game intensity, and you guys will probably be able to pull around and be a lot more effective.
And usually over a period of time, people get more comfortable playing with one another, and that tends to even out a little bit as well.
All right, Ben Van Holstein says, have you heard of the read and react offensive system? Any thoughts on this system and how it helps a team move on and off the ball?
I've heard of it, but I haven't done any reading or studying on it, so I couldn't tell you.
Let's see. I mean, it's kind of just like the motion.
I'm sure it's kind of like a motion offense, yeah.
Okay, here's one from Minata9 who says, tips on driving to the basket.
Okay. Let's hit just 2 or 3. Number 1, make sure that when you attack the basket, you use some kind of a pre-move. A pre-move is this. It's a shot fake. It's a jab step. It's a rip and go kind of move. That's number 1 before you get into it. And don't hurry it. Take your time. Make sure you're efficient and effective with it. The second thing is that the first dribble should be one that is a long step and a long dribble out so that you put pressure on the defender immediately. And when you do, you go hip to hip with that defender. Don't swing out to avoid contact. Oftentimes that's what a player does, and it takes you have to go a further distance to get to the basket than he might if he were just going straight to the bucket. So long one-on-one, hip to hip, are good ways to get to the basket with the drive.
And make sure you're going north-south, not east-west. You need to be going right to the basket, right over the top of that guy's hip, shoulder to shoulder, because if you're looping out, you've just created a bunch of space for that guy to catch up with you. And you can use things like the hammer and the diamond. I mean, there's a ton of stuff if you go check out our offensive moves playlist. Okay, this one is from Jay Swish, who says, hey, Coach, I just started watching. How can I adjust my game into becoming a point guard? I'm going to play for my school varsity team, and I need to be point guard, as the coach told me. I'm 6 foot and the second shortest on the team.
Well, one of the things you probably need to do is to sit with a coach and have him tell you exactly what it is that you want him to do or that he wants you to do. Oftentimes, coaches avoid that, and they just expect that by osmosis you have some inner knowledge that you can call on to play that position or any position. And so if you have questions that sound like you do, one of the things I would do is I would take and make an appointment with the coach and say, you want me to play point guard, but I need to have some idea of what it is that you want me to do in that position. And I'll bet you he probably has some printed material that he will give you that kind of tells exactly what the point guard is on his particular team, what his responsibilities are. And essentially they all kind of come around to being able to handle the ball in a lot of different positions, being able to have your eyes up the court and see what's happening ahead of you so that you can get the right people the ball at the right time. And being able to shoot the ball is always a key for any position, but particularly the point guard as well. And now some teams, it's kind of funny, some teams have point guards whom their coaches want them to do nothing more than deliver the mail. They don't want them to really be shooters, and I think that's a real mistake because point guards oftentimes can shoot pretty good. And you need to have a 5-team offense, not a 2 or 3-team offense.
Yeah, I mean, you need to be able to distribute the ball. You need to have good court awareness and vision, and one of the things that you probably will be saddled with is being kind of like the floor general. You'll probably be calling the plays and making sure things are running smoothly. So it can be a leadership role. So
it is a leadership role almost every team.
Yep. So you just kind of have to be aware of that. I mean, there is no specific thing that we can tell you to do this. No. It's kind of a certain role you have to learn the different aspects of. Okay, so we are getting down to crunch time here. We're going to try to do the lightning round and have shorter answers. If you have questions, the best place to hit us up right now is on Twitter. We are @ShotScience, and we will try to get to you. Okay, this one is from Pokey JJ Boy Plays, who says, "Hey, can you please tell me how to get a better three-point shot while being the longest player on the field? I think I already know the answer. Practice, practice, practice. But anyway, thanks a lot." I guess that means the tallest player. Better three-point shot. Work up to it progressively.
Yeah.
Start out using the form shooting drill. Start out real close, in the 2-foot range, and master that range. After you master that range, take a step back. Master that 4-foot range. After you master that, take a step back. Master the 6-foot range. You want to work yourself back to the three-point line. You don't just want to work on the 2-footers and then step back to the 20-footers, because you have not put in the work to really kind of innervate your muscles and have the strength and muscle memory to be able to just step back there and shoot those. You need to progressively work back, kind of like stepping stone yourself back. And then after you've done that, then you want to work on game speed, game intensity shooting, and you'll find that your three-point shot will really be there without any degradation to your form, which is kind of what happens to people when they just try to go from close in to far back, is that their form just kind of just goes all over the place.
So in other words, practice, practice, and then practice some more.
Yep. This one is from Kiki Agami, who says, "Tips on posting up. I'm 5'1".
Well, you go to our videos, and we've got all kinds of things in there that would help you in learning how to post up, and then exercising some moves out of that post up.
Yeah, and the thing about being smaller is that you need to just use your leverage, your quickness, and your agility, and bait those guys with shot fakes and stuff, and you won't be in better shape. Okay, let's find another one here. This one is from Ball for Life, who says, "How do you become shiftier while dribbling?" Practice.
Yeah, practice, exactly.
The thing too about that kind of stuff is that you need to work on your ability to change directions and change speed. One of the best things you can do is learn how to plant and push, where you're planting your outside foot and pushing off of it and changing directions, because the best way to make a defender lose a step on you is to be able to change your speed and then also change directions like that.
Yeah, the other thing that's real important for us is to remember this, is that ball handling and ball skills have one goal, and that is it. They help us protect the basketball and do whatever it is that we want to do in a lot of different situations. So it's just ball control is all ball skills is about, just controlling the ball.
Okay, this one is from Nate Thompson again, who says, "How do I bring the ball up under pressure? I always get ripped. Maybe because I'm predictable, because I'm scared."
Yeah, you're probably afraid you're going to turn it over, and that's usually what happens when you have that fear, is you turn it over. One of the things that I would take and recommend is that when you are faced, in fact, several things, when you're faced with full court pressure, let's say at one-on-one pressure, is that you attack the defender with one move and go for it. Oftentimes what happens is young players will get in the backcourt and they'll cross it to the left, they'll go through their feet or through their legs and then behind their back, and they go through this little stall where they're doing all this crap, and nothing really happens. When you come up and make a move on somebody, let's say you make a hard move to the right and then you cross to go left and then go on them, usually what they're going to be doing is they're not in front of you anymore, they're alongside of you. And so don't do all the unnecessary things to try and keep them from getting the basketball. Make your move and let's go. The other thing is stay in the middle third of the court. One of the things that young players often do when they're getting pressured in the backcourt is they'll take the ball to the side of the floor. Well, that sideline becomes another defender. So always stay in the middle third of the court as often as you can.
Yep. Okay, this one is from Antonio Crisculo again, who says, "Hey coach, does watching basketball games help develop my game, because I don't have the time to watch games, and in South Africa our league is not that great?"
You probably learn a little bit from just watching basketball games. I don't know that it's going to develop your game so much as the fact that it might expose you to some things that you maybe need to work on. But I think that also probably would improve maybe your aptitude for the game, which is your understanding of what's going on and why this is happening at this particular time. But I don't think it's necessarily going to help your game grow a whole bunch.
I think it's good to watch basketball just so that you can see kind of different looks and what different players are doing and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it is not the best way to develop your game at all. The best way is to get out there and play as much as you can against as many different people as you can, because that teaches you and your body how to react to any given situation. If you think that just sitting there and watching basketball games is going to make you better as you step out onto the court, that is not going to happen.
Not going to happen.
It will help build maybe your game aptitude or intelligence about the game and everything, but that is not all basketball is about. That's just one minor component of it.
Right, and you say here in South Africa that your league is not that great. Well, as people continue to play and have more exposure to the game, then their games are probably going to improve. And so over a period of time, you should see that league start to develop maybe higher level of skills. It doesn't happen all at once, but that probably would happen.
All right, here's one from Victor Acosta Samaniego, who says, "Hey coaches, tips on defending a taller guy in the post. I'm only 6 foot. Greetings from Mexico."
Okay.
Or Mexico.
Yeah. Greetings to you also, Victor. Hey, here's the thing that I think is real important, is that guy in the post, and he's pretty efficient with what he does after he catches the ball. Do not allow him to catch the ball. And the best way to do that is to fray in front of him. And so one of the things that happens there is oftentimes his teammates will throw the ball over the top and with a lob, and he's able to take it and get the ball in. But that you need help for somebody else on your team for that lob over. But if you get in front of him, and one of the things that I like is to take an arm bar and put the arm bar right in his chest, and the other hand is extended straight up as high as you can reach with it, then they are less likely to try to throw the ball over the top because they're not sure that they're going to clear your hand. But take and just play in front of him and don't let him catch the ball. And make him work really hard. You put him into situations maybe where he's not comfortable if he does catches it. And then the other thing is when he catches it, don't try to block him, but more importantly, belly up to him. And bellying up means that you're going to take and come right up to him with your chest, with the hands, both of them, fully extended. And you'd be surprised how difficult it is for some guys to score in that situation. So
yeah,
that's a couple of tips.
Yeah, I think getting around in front is good, but you have to have your defensive teammate needs to know to be out there and help on the lob over the top. But that can be really effective in shutting that guy down. The other thing is that a lot of big guys, they get bummed out when you play them real tough, because sometimes they're kind of a little bit lazier, and sometimes they haven't developed their skills to a level that allows them to be able to play at kind of a more intense pace and stuff like that. So if you really get into those guys, they can kind of emotionally just fall apart.
Well, also they get a little bit undone or ticked off
frustrated
too when they can't catch the basketball.
Yeah.
And when you keep them from touching the basketball, the frustration level tends to rise, which works in your behalf.
Okay, we're out of time here, but this is our last question. This is from Pokey JJ Boy Plays again, who says, "How to teach a good man-to-man to 12-year-old children?"
Oh wow. Oh wow. You know, that would take us hours and hours and hours to answer that question.
I think starting with like a shell drill kind of, where you got them all out on the court and you show them how to how the defense needs to shift with each pass along the perimeter.
That probably would work, but you have to understand what you individually have to do. I think that's really important in any defense for children of any age. They need to know how to defend each other one-on-one. And then once you have the scope of that, then you can get into what Casey's talking about, which is, I lost my...
Like off-ball shifting and stuff like that.
Yeah, but what do they call that drill? Shell drill. Then you get into that and teach them about help side play and ball side play, which shifts continually during the course of a play. So that's really hard to just give that information just bang bang like that. That would be a magic answer for you.
Sorry, I mean, I think the man-to-man approach for each individual guy, I would send you to go look at our Defense 101 videos, where we teach you kind of how you need to step in front of a guy and approach that aspect of defense. Then it gets a little bit more complicated, but you step into the shell drill where you're showing that with each pass along the perimeter, there's going to be a shift and an adjustment, because playing off ball, is going to be different than playing on ball side. And there's going to be denying in the passing lane. There's going to be playing off and kind of saving the middle and all that stuff. So you need to have kind of a progressive approach to it, where you do start individually and then show them after that how to adjust to ball side and off balls.
And it probably would take you just if you have a regular practice schedule, it'd probably take you a week or so just working with all that to kind of get it going.
Yeah, and maybe by 12 they kind of have a little bit of an idea what's going on, but it's going to take a little bit of work, and just kind of keep reiterating it. I mean, you don't have to spend 5 hours on any of that stuff, but just kind of touch it every time you have practice.
Right.
Okay, so that's going to do it for today, guys. I want to thank you for joining us for Shot Signs Overtime number 86. If you want to see us next week, we will be back at 1 p.m. Pacific time on Sunday, and we will answer as many questions again as we possibly can. If you have questions during the week, you can hit us up on Twitter, Facebook, Google+, or YouTube. We're Shot Science on all of those places. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube so you can watch all of our newest videos. And please go out there and tell anybody that you can to watch these live shows, watch our videos, whatever you can do. Follow us anywhere as Shot Science, just so that we can get more people checking all this stuff out and we can bring more cool things to you guys. And we will see you guys next week.
All right. Thanks
for watching. Oh, I didn't say, if we didn't get to your question, it's not because we didn't like you, it's because we ran out of time. All right, see you later.